Hi, so in today's video, I thought I would talk about people who, when they go to get a spirit guide portrait, go to open it, and immediately they're just like, oh, I don't recognize this guide, I don't resonate with this portrait. Um, and then they go to read the reading and they're like, what the hell? This guide has nothing in common with me. It's the complete opposite. They don't have the same hobbies or interests. And then they kind of like just shut it down and they're a bit like, oh, well, hmm. So I don't want this to sound like a whinge fest, but it is a part of spirit art that I think does need to, I guess, be explored and discussed. So, what prompted me to do this video was that a few weeks ago, I had a lady. She she gave me feedback. Lovely lady, very spiritual, very polite. She thanked me, loved a portrait, but you could tell, like by the nature of the feedback, that she was a bit like, not sure if this guide is for me, kind of thing. And of course, in my head, I'm like, right, okay. And so I mailed her back and I explained, and I just thought, do you know what? It would just be so much easier if I just do a video. It's so much easier just to verbalize it. So there are many, many reasons why a guide, you know, might be the complete opposite or you don't recognize them. So, um, for this lady who mailed me, like I drew her from memory. I think he was like a holy man or something. He was of Christian faith, and she was just like, oh, well, I've got absolutely no interest in Christianity. So I just remember thinking, well, why should that matter? Because a guide can come through from, any country, any age, any religion. It literally, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because we are just made of energy, and we have to create these guises, these costumes, if we're going to humanize ourselves to another human, the human we're guiding. It's just a costume. And there are loads of reasons to why they might come through in a particular costume. So it might simply be they just really, really like that costume. Imagine like if you had a life where you were a really strong, handsome, muscly man and you enjoyed that athletic body and you felt good, you could do things that maybe that the body in a previous life couldn't do, and so you're really vibing with that body. So you might decide to carry that body for a while. So obviously there's no time in spirit, but it's been kind of like well documented that on the other side you can dress however you want, you can look however you want. So if they want to appear in that nice muscly body because they were vibing with it, then that's what they might do. I really hope this makes sense and it doesn't sound too far-fetched. Um, yes, they might also appear to be pleasing for the client. It might be that they've come through in a specific incarnation because it's of importance, and it's appropriate that they come through in a certain costume. Um, and then when opposites come in, like the real opposite of what you expect, there's normally a reason for it. So a good example is, and I mentioned this in a previous video when I drew the hippie chick for this lady who completely binned her portrait. I drew her a hippie chick from Woodstock in America who loved music, um, loved her guitar, and and she was coming through to explain that how important music was, and how the free movement in the 60s, how important it was to have freedom, get back to nature, all this stuff. And yet because apparently she doesn't like music and she doesn't like this anything to do with the 60s hippie movement or anything, she completely shut it down. she just decided this guide wasn't for me. But had she taken a step back and thought, hang on a minute, why has the opposite of what I would like to come through manifested? Has it ever occurred to her that maybe not liking music, which I find odd? I mean, I know there is a condition where apparently some people literally they just cannot stomach music. I forget the name, but there is a condition for it. Apart from that, I don't know how a human being cannot like some form of music. And she said she disliked music. And music is so freaking important. It makes mathematically up the cosmos of the universe. It is so important. It's a vibration. It's it's part of us all. It's in everything. Um, and it's so good for us. It can change our moods. It's good for healing. You have sound therapy now in hospitals. So that guide was trying to to bring to her awareness why music is so important, and you need to get this into your life. Like, listen to me. I'm here with my guitar. I'm here to you know, give you some grounding. I'm a hippie chick. I'm all for freedom, embracing your inner child, getting back to nature, you need to listen to me kind of thing. But no, because it was the opposite of what the things she liked, she couldn't fathom it. Another example is, and this is way back, a lady thanked me for her portrait, left a portrait, really, really polite, but she's like, um, and you could just tell that she wasn't vibing with it. And she explained that because I drew her this lovely Asian lady, and she's like, oh, and obviously no offense to anybody who's Asian. I'm simply being honest and telling you what she said. She said she found the Asian language just horrible to listen to. She's just like, no, I'm not vibing with that. I just, the culture and the language, it's just too harsh. I don't like it. So you could tell based on that, she just was sort of stepping back a bit and wasn't resonating with her portrait. And again, there's a reason why someone of the opposite of what you might expect has come through, because it might be something as simple as all languages are beautiful, all cultures are beautiful, and they are. I think all languages are just absolutely fascinating. Um, they're all beautiful in their own way, and so there was a lesson that guide was bringing. Um, so Well, yeah, sorry, I've written some notes because I don't really want to forget. So the other thing is like, well, when someone says, "Oh, I'm not familiar with that portrait," it's like they're expecting to open up the envelope or open up the email and go, "Ah, yeah, know that one." Now, I'm going to be really honest with you. Like, most of the spirit guide portraits I've had drawn for me, which I've showcased in a previous video, I mean, I could be honest, I've not opened it and gone, yep, I know that one. I have to trust that what spirit has given that spirit artist, is true. Um, it's for me. I've never, ever just shut it down and gone, nah, because that guide, even though, even though I'm not recognizing it, that's not to say it's in the background working for my highest good. We can't possibly know all our guides, and I will not believe anybody who can actually stand there and go, I know all my guides, I know everybody on my team. I don't believe we're supposed to know all our guides. Plus, they come and go, you know. So how can someone just go, shut it down and go, oh well, because I haven't seen that guide, um, I can't take it. I mean, I only really know the guides that I've seen myself and drawn myself. The rest, um, the rest I've had to find out through another spirit artist, because I don't know all the people on my team. that's why I go to a spirit artist, because I want to see who else is on the team that I can't see. Isn't that the point? If you know it all and you've seen that guide and you know all about that guide, why have you gone to a spirit artist? That's kind of the way I honestly feel about it. And I don't wish to offend anybody. Um, so yeah, I mean, when I've had a portrait, um, I've just been really grateful and appreciative, and I wouldn't dream of shutting it down, because who's to say that that guide might make themselves known in 10, 20, 30 years' time. It might come through in a clairvoyant reading where they describe, oh, you've got such and such um, on your team. Do you know of a guide? Blah, blah, blah. And then I'll go, yeah. I had a guide portrait done like 20 years ago. Oh my God. Or they might come through in a dream. There's a million ways of them down the line connecting and going, look, I do exist. So just because you don't know that guide at that precise moment in time, don't just shut it down. By all means, pack it away and keep it for if it should arise, and then you can go back to it and go, yay, this is great. So forgot here. So yeah, I've explained about how they can dress in any costume they want. You know, uh, yeah, and also the other thing is, I might have drawn a guide for a client and they've not recognized it, but in actual fact, it is a guide that they do know, and maybe a different spirit guide artist has drawn them prior. But I've just, for whatever reason, I've drawn that guide at a different age, or they're dressed differently, or I've just picked up on that guide in a kind of different way. I know this sounds hard to, I'm not making this sound quite right, but I have had this with another spirit artist where I have drawn a guide for a client one way, and then she's gone to a different spirit artist a few years later, and she's kind of drawn the same guide but slightly different, and she's then kind of got super excited, and she mailed me and she said, look how, yes, they are different, but if you look, I'm pretty certain it's the same guide. So I hope that makes sense. So it could be that actually you do know that guide. Um yeah, I'm hoping I've covered it all. So just be more mindful that they're not necessarily gonna have all your interest. Just because you're into fishing, are you really holding out hope that a fisherman's going to come through and have all the same interests as you? Just because you're into cookery, you're expecting a cook to come through. Because honestly, I've never had an artist drawn for me, and I'm a spirit artist. You'd think one artist would come through, wouldn't you? I think the closest I've got was a guide who it was I haven't actually had this as a spirit portrait, but I had a clairvoyant reading, and she was like, you have a guide who used to paint on rocks. um he would sit by a stream and he would paint the rocks using like colors from the berries and whatever. So yes, that is an artist, I would say. That's artistry, and that's one of my guides. But what's the other thing I was going to say? And yeah, and just because you don't recognize them all, that's not what you were expecting. Like, I had a guy portrait done by a very well-known spirit artist. He's at the top of his game, Patrick Gamble, and it took me a long time to like get a one-on-one with him. He's a very busy guy, and then when he came to paint for me, it it came out as a Roman soldier. Now, I was not expecting a Roman soldier. It was like the last thing I was expecting. But I didn't bin it. I didn't think, you know. And then he explained he's one of your protector guides. He's a soldier. He's strong. He's got your back. and I just loved it. You know, I take what spirit have given me. Now I'm not I don't know if I've already said this, but I'll say it again. As a spirit artist, having done this for quite a while, and I'm not saying everybody, but there is a small pocket of people who kind of conjure up already in their head what they're expecting or what they would like. And I worry that that does set people up for disappointment. I think you need to inform yourself and do your research, before parting with your money or whatever. Um, I like, for example, somebody who's just taken their Reiki masters, and they've just started out on their spiritual journey, and they're super gung ho, and they're like, yeah, I want a spirit portrait. And so then they kind of like conjure up like a shaman who looks in all his finery, that looks absolutely magnificent, and they're super wise, and they're this and they're that, and they've got superpowers. They conjure up this image in their head of what they're going to put on their healing room wall. And I know, I honestly, I'm not trying. I know I'm coming across as a bit arsey, but I just worry that people do have a tendency to, oh, I would like this, and the fact is they can come through in whatever form they want. It's literally just to humanize it for us, because there is no true form. So yeah, that's my little whinge fest. I didn't mean it to be a whinge fest. Um, I just wanted to put it out there. So that's my honest take on it. I hope people can understand where I'm coming from, and yeah, all I can do is be honest and transparent about it. And I hope you found that useful if you are thinking of getting a spirit guide portrait done, or you yourself have got one done, and yeah, and you didn't recognize it, and you're like, what the hell? Maybe that's given you a bit of insight. Anyway, I am wittering. I hope I don't have to edit this, because I think it in places I wasn't making sense. I am sorry. Okay, take care. Bye.